Hi all, I'm Libby, proud captain of Millwall Lionesses. Thank you to our Millwall fan show from the No One Likes Us Talking team for sponsoring me this year. Make sure you give them a listen like I do. Or even better, why not sponsor a Lioness while you're at it like they do? Thank you always for your continued support.
This podcast is a proud member of the Fan Hub 100. Football without fans is nothing, so we've partnered with Fan Hub to put fans first. Search Fan Hub app to play your parts in the journey.
Hi, I'm Bethany Warren, and you are joining me to listen to the podcast of our Millwall fan show with the No One Likes Us Talking team, which is available every Friday at 8 p.m.
It's the second Friday of COVID-19's three-tier system. I'm your host, Gary Staff, and I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Bethany Warren, Stan Godwin, and the legend, Jeff Burnage.
Not everybody likes them, but they don't care.
Well, hello everyone. It's been an interesting week, but first off, we're going to be talking about football this evening. So, Bethany, talk to me about the Derby and QPR games. What are your thoughts?
Okay. So, QPR, I think I found very frustrating for a couple of different reasons, but I both, actually, to be honest, to be fair, both games I found very frustrating watches. I think as much as I always like to sit on the side of in the manager we trust, but I'm not seeing, I don't think I'm seeing enough, as we're not getting these wins, draws and everything's fine, but I think we just haven't figured out that forward striking route. Yeah, I think Matt Smith needs to be played two more. Yeah, they've been frustrating, but we're not doing terribly, and I don't want to be too negative, but yeah.
Fair enough. Over to you, Stan. What are your thoughts?
Well, the Derby game, I mean, I did put on Twitter, I mean, it was, frankly, from our point of view in the game, it was rubbish. I mean, it was poor. And what I find frustrating, I mean, I appreciate the fact that we've got injury problems, and there's no question about that, and I also think that we're missing the driving force in midfield. But we had a Derby team there. I mean, look, when you look at where they are in the league, I mean, we should have been beating them, and we're just not. We started off okay. Jed Wallace got through, nearly scored, and then after that, it was the old story. They got hold of the ball and they controlled the game. I mean, and that's what I find frustrating. And QPR, well, that was a bit of a strange one for me, because at the end of the night, I thought that Marlon Romeo was our best player. And yet in the first half, I thought to myself, I just got the impression that he didn't want to be there, He looked off the pace, but other people thought he played well. But in the second half, for me, he was the man in the match. But the other thing that I found frustrating, especially in the QPR game, is why we got that kid on the bench, the winger, who's got pace. He's unknown to these people, and yet we bring him on 2 minutes from the end. I mean, what's he going to do in 2 minutes? And he had a bit of injury time. I mean, he should be coming on 15, 20 minutes from the end. And it was very, very frustrating. But we've got to start winning. We can't afford to keep drawing.
Some people are saying, Stan, that he maybe needs to start ahead of Jed, who I think is probably getting to that stage a little bit at the moment, a bit too, I've got my place, I don't need to worry too much, if you know what I mean. No,
I wouldn't agree with that. I mean, I think what I think's been the problem with Jed recently, and it's not of his making, to be fair. I don't think so anyway. I mean, all last season he was flying, and because the bloke that was very essential to him was Marlon. Now, this season, for a while, Marlon weren't there, and as a consequence, that affected Jed, in my opinion. But now he's back in the team, he's now fit and whatever. Hopefully that'll get that get resolved. But no, I just, I don't think he. As I say, that wasn't my view. I just think that we were. I get frustrated when we get Matt Smith on here. Not that I dislike him, but you know what's going to happen. I mean, look at the QPR forwards. They were quick, they were passing and moving, and when Bradshaw come on, I thought he did well. I mean, for once in that game, he actually got some decent service, which makes a change. But we need somebody. Personally, if I was picking the team, Matt Smith would be on the bench. I wouldn't. Because when he comes on, and especially against QPR, it's when that bloke went in there, Mark Warburton. I thought to myself, well, I know the first bloke is going to be coming out of QPR, and that was going to be Matt Smith because he doesn't fit. He don't fit Warburton's style of play.
Over to you, Jeff.
Well, I've forgotten all about the Derby game. We didn't play very well. We got what we deserved, probably, I would say. But I remember us losing to Derby last season, back in the summer. When was it in the summer when that young lad got a hat-trick? Remember that? But as for the QPR game, I must say, I would prefer our team to be better in the second half than the first half than the other way round. I thought we finished the game really, really well. I thought we had QPR on the ropes, to be honest with you. I thought that a winner could easily have come. So that was pleasing. I still feel that any striker that we sign is likely to find it difficult to score goals because we don't make enough chances. I have been saying that for a while, and everyone thought Troy Parrott was going to get 20 goals. So far, he hasn't got any. I think that's the problem, not making enough chances. But on Jed and Tyler Bury, I don't think Jed's been the same player since we changed system. I honestly think when we played 4-4-2, which is a while ago now, it suited him and Marlon on that right-hand side. But as we are now, I don't think Jed has been as effective. The other thing I would say about Jed is that while the manager has been rotating people to try and keep people reasonably fresh in a 2-game-a-week scenario, Jed's played all the time. He hasn't had a rest, and perhaps that's a factor as well.
Very true.
But regarding Tyler Bury, he is a young man, he's untried. You do have to choose the right time to bring in untried youngsters. In my opinion, it has been the right time for a couple of weeks now, like the rest of you have said. But in the system we're playing, he has to be one of the front three. So and if you remember, on Tuesday, he actually came on for Jed. So in some way, he is an alternative to Jed. So let's be careful about wanting to push Tyler Bury in. But I'm very glad we've got him. It was a great signing. And let's hope he gets a bit more action in the next few weeks. And you never know. Sometimes when we least expect it, that's when we get a win. And our away form's miles better than our home form. So I'm optimistic for Saturday. That's it, really.
Okay. Well, we'll take a break there and be back with our first guest this evening. But for now, let's listen to the lovely tones of Bethany Warren talking about Love Sport Radio.
Bethany Warren here again. Thanks for listening to our show. Don't forget, Love Sport Radio is now mothballed pending change in current conditions. You can still listen, though, to music both online and on DAB. Podcasts are available on demand. Hopefully, we'll be back on the air with them when normality returns to the marketplace.
I'm Gary Staff, and I'm back with the No One Likes Us talking team of Bethany Warren, Stan Goodwin, and Jeff Burnage. Don't forget you won't find any of our current shows at Love Sport Radio. In fact, only pre-pandemic recordings. You can find us on all good podcast suppliers, including Spreaker. All you do is search for the Millwall No One Likes Us Talking podcast. Our first guest this evening is Dean Wilson. Dean Wilson, Funeral Directors, a familiar name to the Millwall fans. He has been a great sponsor of the club over the years, and David Ford even mentioned that he was a member of the Millwall Goalkeeper Union for coaching work at the club. Welcome, Dean. We hope you're not too busy at the moment. And since last time we spoke, how are things going?
Hi, Gary. Thanks for having me on again. Thankfully, we are not as busy as we were. The amount of funerals have slowed down. You know, the COVID death rate has gone down in the southeast of England anyway. So we're not as busy, thankfully. But we're still looking after families and Millwall families. I'm very well, thanks. And like most of the country, still living in these strange times, but obviously missing the games and getting down to the den.
Indeed. Thanks, Dean. But before I let you off to the panel, have you missed not getting to the den, and how is the atmosphere with a couple of the 1,000 fans?
Well, I've been to one of the games where there's just been 2,000 fans, and it is strange down there. I've never seen the den like it. It made a lot of noise for 2,000 fans, more than most clubs, I think. But we really do need to get back down there in our thousands as soon as possible. And be the 12th man as we always are, you know, home and away. That Millwall crowd is, you know, it's a crowd to be reckoned with, and I think that's known commonly in football.
Hiya, Dean, it's Bethany here. Hope all's good with you. Do you think the acquisitions from Gary Rowett that Gary Rowett has made have made a difference to our side?
Hi, Bethany. Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you look at just two players there, Ryan Woods in the midfield, for me, he's a Premiership player. He holds the ball really well, and his passing and the through balls he puts in when he's on his game are unbelievable. And the youngster Troy Parrott on loan from Spurs, great potential. You know, he's already playing for the Ireland side. And the friends I know at Spurs really, really rate him. You know, I'd love to keep him, but alas, he will go back. And I think if he gets a run of games in the side, he'll show his worth.
Dean, it's Jeff here. How are you, mate? Good to speak to you.
I'm very well, thanks.
What I would like to know is, do you think we need to strengthen in the January transfer window? And how would you do that? What would you see we needed to do on sales or loan?
Right. Firstly, I believe that we've got the best goalkeeper and the best defence in the league, so I don't think we really need to touch that. We need that cutting edge in front of goal, and I think we can all see that at the moment. You know, no disrespect to our strikers at the moment, but we're not getting the ball in the back of the net, hence all the draws. Perhaps we need a Harris or a Morrison. So I think Gary will be doing his job and actively looking at the market in January and seeing if he can bring perhaps one or two forwards in.
Yeah, Dean, it's Stan here. Anyway, how's it going, mate? I'm sorry, I mean, I've missed our catch-ups, but thinking about our youngsters, do you see any of them coming into the side and making a difference to our performances, or are they just bit players?
Hello, Stan. Hope you're well.
I'm all right,
We've
mate.
always produced good youngsters, and Millwall are known for that. Their academy and what used to be our youth teams. And I'm really excited just to see two players coming through at the moment, Billy Mitchell and Tyler Bury. They're real prospects. And, Gary's no fool. He's looked at them. He knows when the time's right for a young player to come through. And Billy Mitchell, young, aggressive player, one of your own Millwall fans. And Tyler, he's played a couple of times this season. He's come on, and the pace and the trickiness of him, I'm really sort of excited to see them both come through.
Yeah, I mean, Billy Mitchell, he's unfortunately been injured, isn't he, so far, but, you know. But no, I agree with what you say about him, though, Dean, I must admit.
Yeah, so how would you sum up our progress from the start of the season until now?
Well, we had a great start, and when you consider the finances at our club compared to other clubs and the money that they were paying for players, you know, we were up there hovering around sort of 5th, 6th place in and around the playoffs. We've had all these draws now, and we've gone down to around about, I think, 13th, 14th. And we all know we've had too many draws, and Gary knows that, and I'm sure he's pulling his hair out over that. We only need to turn a few more of them into victories, and we're right back up there again. Another sort of 6, 7 points, we're right back in the playoffs again.
Dean, going further on that, who would you say has made the biggest difference to our performances this season, and why?
For me, my best player so far this season has been Ryan Leonard. massive improvement on last season. And I don't know what he's changed about his game, but what I've seen of him, he's outstanding. And obviously, Jed, on his day, his set pieces and his pace and his running, he can terrorise any defence. So for me, Ryan Leonard, Jed Wallace at the moment, they're our two best players.
Dean, how do you think Rowett has handled the challenges he has encountered this season?
Gary's a top manager, very experienced, very professional. He's respected in the game, hence we can get loans from clubs. I'm sure he'd rather that we had a few more wins as opposed to the draws, but I've got every confidence in him, and I just think he can't wait for January to come around quick enough so that he can get into the market and shore up the team and get us back up the table.
Well, fingers crossed there, Dean, fingers crossed. Thanks again for coming on, Dean. All the best to you and your team down at the Funeral Directors in their endeavours and supporting of the family and friends of the deceased. But can you give me a prediction for the Millwall Borough game on Saturday?
Right, you put me on the spot here, but yeah, at the moment I think there's only 3 points between us, so it's going to be tight. They're two physical attacking sides. My heart says a 2-0 Millwall win, but if I was to put money on it and have a bet, I think it would be another draw because it's so tight, I think, between us.
Blimey. We're going to be setting records with the amount of draws we're going to get this season. So I hope your first answer there, Dean, is the one we get. But thanks, Dean, and much appreciated. And you're always welcome back on the show whenever you want to.
Thanks.
Thanks, Dean.
Yeah, cheers, Dean.
Cheers, Dean.
Well, we'll take a break there and listen to Kai Bennett and his Millwall Fan TV.
Hey, I'm Kai from Millwall Fan TV. On Millwall Fan TV, I cover pre-match predictions, post-match analysis, and a bit of full-time reaction when we can go to the games. Also, quite a few X-Lounge chats on my YouTube, actually, as we speak right now. I've got some Martin Wolford, Scott Barron, that just a couple to name a few. So do it for the love of Millwall. Absolutely love Millwall, and let's hope we can push on next year and make the playoffs. And if you could subscribe to Millwall Fan TV, that'd be absolutely amazing, and hopefully we can follow the journey together. Comedy Lions.
I'm Gary, and I'm back with the No One Likes Us Talking team of Bethany Warren, Stan Goodwin, and Jeff Burnage. That was Kaiser, as we call him. That's a zippy little tune he has there. Next up, we hear from the Millwall Lionesses and Millwall Romans. Millwall Romans have their first match back since Lockdown 2. They face Stonewall away at 2:30 p.m. this Sunday, playing at the London Marathon Community Track, right next to the London Olympic Stadium, where some London team plays. Don't know who they are. Last time out against Stonewall, a record-breaking score for this season was made by our Millwall Romans. All the best, guys. Sounds like a great opportunity. Bethany, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a fantastic opportunity for especially Millwall Romans being an LGBTQI friendly football team. Obviously, as we know, in football, in the past, it's been a bit of a taboo subject. So for Millwall to have a team like that it's fantastic. And, I think it's a great opportunity, and hopefully more young people from the LGBTQI community will get involved, and even the allies of that community will go along and support them.
Stan, what are your thoughts?
Well, I tend to agree with Bethany. The LGB team. From our point of view, is sort of, again, it's sort of groundbreaking, and but so no, the more these things are done and the better they're known, the better it is for everybody concerned, and it opens up real opportunities. So. It's all good stuff. It's all good stuff.
And Jeff, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I want to see Millwall's support get bigger and broader and deeper. And we have been long in the vanguard of women's and girls football, and thank goodness for the Romans. That broadens it even further. And let's face it, they're the only team that aren't drawing games that we've got. So I'm all in favour of them, and I wish them well on Sunday.
Indeed. Next up, we hear from Jeff, who you just heard from, who has an update on the Millwall Lionesses.
Yeah, well, it was a rubbish weekend, wasn't it, last weekend, all in all. But very surprisingly, we got a shocking result last Sunday away at East Bergholt. That's not the biggest team in the world either. We lost 4-1. Everything went wrong. Abidel, our centre forward, wasn't fit for the game. And to be fair, our back three, which we've been playing this season, is still not quite right. And two of those three are 16-year-old girls, just come out of junior football. So when it started badly, there wasn't enough experience back there to steady the ship. I would say that Shannon Drew, she scored a great goal and hit the woodwork 3 times. So on another day, it might not have gone the way it did. I'd rather leave that there, but can I remind people, they have a great website, millwall-lionesses.com, and this coming weekend we're playing in Ware. Don't make the obvious joke. Ware. The town of Ware, W-A-R-E, in Hertfordshire, just north of London. And they're called Wadston Park. And if anyone wants to go, it's Wade Mill Road in Ware, SG12 0UQ. But I won't be going this weekend. I've got a family commitment. So I'll be following it on the Twitter, Millwall _ capital L, capital F, capital C. And that gives us teams an hour before the kickoff, and then highlights as the game goes. In my heart, I know that those girls are going to bounce back. They'll be very, very determined to do well in that game, and I think they will win that game.
Excellent. Bethany, Stan, what are your comments on that? I'll go with Bethany first.
Yeah, I'm hoping they have a nice bounce back. Like Jeff said, I really do think they will. Just to kind of bring up the point, as a woman, I'm so proud of the Millwall Lionesses. It's so nice to follow a team that, obviously, because I followed Millwall from when I was little, obviously the men's team, and seeing how hard that the female team work, just it makes me really proud to be a woman, to see how amazing they do. And obviously we've sponsored Libby Stubbs, so yeah, no, I'm super proud of them, and I really do think they're going to bounce back.
And Stan?
As I've said before on many occasions, I mean, women's football over the last couple of years has really grown. And when you consider the difficulties that the Millwall Lionesses had, I don't know, about 18 months ago, something like that, with these break-up of teams and one thing and another. I mean, we've recovered from that, and they're doing really well. Okay, they're having their little setbacks every now and again, and Jeff goes to see him a lot more than I do, so he's well versed on them. But no, I mean, again, it's another case of work in progress, and I think as time goes on, they will get better. And it just seems a lot more stable. And as I say, the sky's the limit for them, in my view.
I completely agree. And my comments on both of those, the LGBT is an outstanding thing that we're part of as a club. And as we've always been a leader for the women's football as well, going back to the days when Pat first started it, look, we're going to get back up. We're going to get back up there. We know we will. It's going to take a few seasons, and the team's going to grow, and the players are going to come back to us, etc. And we're going to be a great team again. Yes, like Stan said, we had our setbacks, but we will be back up there in the elite of women's football. And you never know. Maybe one day the LGBT might have this form of eliteness as well to get their voices heard as well. So we will take a break there, and we will hear from the lovely Bethany Warren again, talking about Be My Eyes.
Hi, Bethany Warren here. Millwall Lionesses have partnered with international smartphone application Be My Eyes. Be My Eyes is an application that truly benefits the poor of sight and the blind, but is supported by those of us that can see.
You might wonder how blind people deal with everyday challenges. Well, normally the answer is simple. We're not that different from you. We play music. We go to school. We go to work. You get the picture. But sometimes the simplest things can be difficult, and we need a pair of eyes.
Connect to first available number.
That's where you come in.
Establishing video connection.
Through your smartphone, Be My Eyes connects the blind with sighted people through a live video connection. Simply choose if you need help or want to help by the click of a button.
That's a nice picture of you and your family, Caroline. Is it for a present? Yes, it's a photo from my parents.
You can help just by installing the Be My Eyes app.
Correct image.
And we'll notify you when someone needs your help. And if you're in the middle of something, don't worry. Someone else will step in. So, would you care to be my eyes?
Be My Eyes is displayed on the Lionesses shorts this season. Download the app onto your smartphone now and help those that need your eyes straight away.
I'm Gary, and I'm back with the No One Likes Us Talking team of Jeff Burnage, Bethany Warren, and Stan Goodwin. What an amazing app that is. Our second guest tonight, we welcome Peter Varney. Peter is the Executive Vice Chairman of Millwall Community Trust, which has recently committed to staying with until 31st of October 2024. Well done, Peter. He has previously held the position at the Cholton Athletic Community Trust and is a former CEO and Executive Vice Chairman of Cholton Athletic. Peter is also currently the Executive Chairman of Integral Sports Management Limited and Chairman of the Access Foundation. Tonight we have brought Peter onto the show to talk about the We Do Care Supporting Our Hospital Heroes Millwall Community Trust initiative and understand more about the projects that the Millwall Community Trust are undertaking. Welcome to the show, Peter.
Firstly, evening, guys.
Evening, Peter. Firstly, talk to me about how you got involved with the Millwall Community Trust and what has changed under yours and Sean's leadership. I know it wasn't the best of places when you started and arrived.
No, it was, where was it now? It was back, I think the conversation started last September, really. I think you know I've been a colleague and friend of Steve Kavanagh, the CEO at Millwall, for more years than I care to remember. And we were having a coffee and Steve was sort of telling me about the problems that existed there. Obviously, Steve Bradshaw had left Millwall Community Trust. There was no CEO in place. Sean Daly was an acting CEO. No business plan in place. As I think Jeff will tell you, there were probably difficult relationships in every direction you turned, lots of politics involved. And as Steve was telling me, it became a challenge, really. Obviously, I'd done a similar role at the Community Trust at Charlton. Obviously, I have a passion. As you get older, you tend to want to try and give something back in a charitable sense. When you're younger, you don't have the same time or able to put in the commitment when you've got a young family and the like. And it was an opportunity that I thought this was a great chance to try and make a difference. As to what needed to happen. Obviously, we needed to get some stability. I spent many happy hours with Jeff in Borough Market trying to sort out the issues that existed at the time around Millwall for All, which has become particularly relevant, recently. And I think we instigated a real diversity agenda. We brought on Millwall's first black trustee to spearhead that. and we produced a 3-year business plan, because if an organisation hasn't got structure, then really, what are you there for? You don't really know what you're there to achieve. So in all areas, whether it was health, education, diversity or whatever, we produced a business plan, and our mission really, Sean got the job full time, and our mission was to implement that and bring about change.
Fantastic. I know the guys have got some questions for you, but the We Do Care situation, tell us a bit more about that. I know Bethany's going to ask you some questions about that in a minute as well.
Yeah, well, this hasn't been for most of us really, 2020's not been the greatest year, as it's not without its challenges when you're lockdown, release, lockdown again, and most people are having to work from home or mastering Zoom or Microsoft Teams. And so, but added for me in particular was that I had to go into hospital in 2 spells. And I think it was the second spell in May, because you couldn't have visitors. So effectively, the only people you come into contact with are the staff. There were some fantastic volunteers, I have to say, that would do their day job and then come in the evening and have a chat to you. Otherwise, you had not much human contact throughout the day. So I started to talk to the nursing staff. And most of these guys were coming on, in the day at 8 o'clock, and they're supposed to go at 6 o'clock at night. But many were still there 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, and tensions were there. And I started talking to them about what ways they thought they needed help, and things that were going on at the time. Lots of the supermarkets were saying, look, NHS staff can come in an hour before we open the store and things like that to get their shopping. But when you've got children and you've got to get them ready for school and all the things that go with parenthood, that can be a big challenge, and therefore, they didn't do that. So I started to just sort of take notes down to myself of the things that they really thought could help. I came up with, in the end, about 35 items. But narrowing it right down, the big items were doing the shopping for them, delivering parcels. Money management was a big thing. Lots of them were finding it difficult to manage. Couldn't go home at night and have much time with the children. So we came up with this idea of bedtime stories, which obviously now the Millwall players have recorded, and yoga as a relaxation technique. And in the last week, we've had 2 money management meetings with Barclays for over 100 people, 100 nursing staff. And we've got 2 yoga sessions gone on, 1 tonight, and they've been well attended. So the thing's got off to a real swing, and we wanted it to call it We Do Care, because obviously, the song has got the infamous line of "We don't care." So we sort of reversed it to say that in this particular work, going out and helping the people who look after us and put themselves at risk, we wanted to get that message across that the Millwall family does care.
Yeah, definitely. Hi, Peter. It's Bethany here. It's nice to speak to you. Just a question about King's College Hospital. Why was that the one you chose?
Well, that's where I was.
That's where you were, right?
Yeah, I wewent to King's College, but obviously we work with the Maudsley, we work with Guy's, we work with Lewisham. And the Lewisham yoga session was tonight, but it seemed a bit, from where I sat, the thing is that people come to those hospitals from all around. I live in Bromley, and yet I ended up in King's College. It's not a definite thing that just because you live in a particular area, you'll always end up in that hospital, because particularly the London hospitals, the cardiac unit, for example, at King's is like nothing compared to the more local hospital trusts. And so, it was that we didn't see it as a geographical thing. We just saw it as really just trying to help the people who were helping us.
Yeah, of course.
Hi, Peter. It's Jeff here. Thanks for the mention earlier. Obviously, everyone's delighted to hear about this project and the players' involvement in it. It sounds fantastic. Do you think that it's had a good reception at King's College Hospital?
I think all the hospitals. I mean, Sean and I went to Lewisham on Friday, and the staff there are chuffed. I think that, there's been an outpouring of love towards the National Health Service staff. We realise how important it is to us. Once a pandemic like this, comes about. And I can only tell you from the nursing staff that we talk to, and they all have been blown over by the fact that, this is real practical help. Some of the nursing salaries, as you probably know, are not great. You're talking about 22, 23 for a nurse, 23,000 a year. And therefore it's quite easy, particularly at this time of the year, to get into money troubles. Not easy to get a mortgage because of the multiplier that the building societies use. So we're hoping that by linking up with Barclays, we can make a real change. If you add to that getting the shopping, even the bedtime story, lots of the nurses said to me they get home from the hospital, completely knackered, for want of an expression. And they can't actually, bring themselves, they just want to relax and watch a TV programme or something. And the fact you can get a Millwall player and you can sort of bring that onto your iPad, I think is fantastic. And I can't, from the chairman down to Gary Rowett and all the playing staff, they've been so supportive of this initiative that it speaks really, really well of the whole Millwall family.
Yeah, Pete, it's Stan here, mate. It's good to hear from you again. The trust has gone from... It goes from better in what it does and in the community. Is there any further projects on the horizon that you can briefly highlight for the listeners?
Yeah, obviously we've got loads of plans to expand a lot of the things we do around health. Health is a big issue with children, particularly obesity. We live in a fast food era and things like that. And of course, a footballer has a fantastic diet. They have to. And so we can use that example to build in areas like that. But the two which stand out for me are that one of the things that's going to come out of the pandemic once we get back to normal next year is the level of youth unemployment. It's already spiralling as we are now, and we're locking up a whole range of future social problems for ourselves unless we start to produce initiatives that tackle youth unemployment. And a club like Millwall is well placed in the area in which it operates to tackle that. So that's going to be a big challenge for us, I think, in 2021. The other one is that we've started to open discussions with Lewisham Council about the development of the stadium. And I think people have already seen some images. And it's quite exciting in terms of, of what's going to be added. And we've been looking at the non-match day element to this and how the trust can help with that. So if you look at the day-to-day operations of a football club, it's true to say that Monday to Friday, if you discount the Tuesday or Wednesday matches, Monday to Friday there's not an awful lot of activity at football clubs. And one of the things we're looking at, and we're discussing this, quite advanced discussions with Goldsmiths University, is the introduction of a media college at the Den. And what that will do is that, number one, it's a good thing to do. Number two, it helps Billy Taylor and his team because it gives them a resource. And number three, it brings footfall onto the new site, which is going to have a piazza, shops, 4,500 apartments, so there's going to be a lot more people around the Den than ever before. It actually brings it all to life in a way that I'm sure you all know that if you go there on a non-match day, it's not a hive of activity, and this is going to change that. And I think that's good for the trust. It's good for the kids in Lewisham. 59% of them go outside the borough for their education. And it's good for the club and the future growth of the club.
Ah, good. Yeah, just one thing, Pete, I'd like to add. I mean, I listened very carefully to what you said in relationship to food and youngsters and one thing now. We get into this debate, don't we, about their diets and fast food and all that. And I don't disagree with any of that, right? I mean, but the thing that always gets me when I hear these discussions, I mean, to me, one of the reasons a lot of these kids have these difficulties is the fact that, you know, when they're on 6 weeks holiday or 2 weeks holiday, they're sat in front of an Xbox. You know, and I think, you know, we tend to get hung up about the diets and all that stuff. And as I say, it's important. But, you know, when you've got a kid sitting in front of an Xbox for 6 weeks, you know, and only goes out of the room when he needs to go to the bathroom, I mean, he's not, he's not, that, I think that's part of the problem. I don't know what the solution is.
Well, the thing is, Stan, it's a range of things, really. If you take the big holiday period, the 6-week summer holiday period, you know, we've increased the number of holiday courses that we do. And that's that part of that, and also going into schools and giving a diet you should have against a diet you shouldn't have, and even in the stuff that you came down and saw at St Paul's, you know, when we were giving out the breakfast packs and the food, we try to make that as healthy as possible. But the bottom line is, you know, as parents, it's really for us to guide their children. But if you dive back to the discussion we've had about the hospital, you know, in my particular case, it was a heart issue, and it stuck with me really. One of the doctors there said that 10 years ago, effectively nine people didn't have clots, and now roll that forward, and 9 people do have clots. And I said, well, what's that put down to? And he said, well, it's just the era we live in, the fast food era. The preservatives, the sugars, and I don't think enough is said about that. So as parents, it's very easy to say, sit on the sofa and play with your Xbox and be quiet, or whatever, you know, because you want to do something else. But we're producing almost like a generation of future cardiac issues.
Oh yeah, I don't disagree, mate.
And so it's the whole thing, Stan. It's not just one thing; it's getting the whole thing right, and that's where, because players have to be super fit to play, you know, to play football, we're in a unique position to showcase that, and that's really what we're trying to do. And if you get them in schools, hopefully they'll take the message home.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. I agree.
Just one thing from me, Peter, and it's Jeff here again. Please let everybody know, volunteers and staff, how much we all appreciate what they're doing. And it's a tough time for them at the moment, but we're right behind you, and please keep expanding the scope of the scheme.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot. Thanks. Yeah, I will do.
Yeah, Jeff mentioned there about volunteers and the community trust doing the work they do, but Peter, do you need volunteers, and how would people find out about becoming a volunteer and also find out more about the MCT?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you're always looking for volunteers. We actually were approached by a young lad who was a sort of expert in the digital commercial world, and just said, look, he's seen all this stuff that's going on down there now, and he'd like to help. And he's been helping us on the sort of fundraising side. And the thing about it is, what we say to people is, look, you do as little or as much as you actually want to. We don't want to make this a pressure situation, but anybody can contact Sean daily at the Lions Centre, or pop down and see him. And yeah, we'd love people to get involved. I think the more resource you have, you know, the reality is the more you can do. We've had to be very careful over the last 6 months in particular. Obviously, we've lost income for some of the projects, so we've had to be very tight on costs. But we've done that in a prudent way. So I think we've the team there have done very well with that. So I think we're going to come out of this quite well. But the fact you get volunteers, and I think they'll get something out of it as well. I think that it's always nice to, you know, whether that's helping out, delivering to a food bank, or even going up and helping the guys get the shopping, or participating in, you know, let them participate in some of the things we're doing. It can only be good.
Brilliant. Well, Peter, I personally am in awe, and I know the team are, of all the amazing work that the Millwall Community Trust are doing recently, and I'm so proud to have been able to speak to you about it tonight. Interesting to hear that you're working with Lewisham on the new ground as well, so that's great news as well. However, before I let you go, we ask all our guests for a prediction. So what do you think the score will be when the Lions take on Middlesbrough at the weekend?
Oh, right, you do that, do you?
We do.
That puts me on the spot then, doesn't it? Well, I watched the game on Tuesday, and what I see at the moment is they're very, very strong, aren't they, defensively, Millwall? And probably at the moment, if there was an area that they need to improve on, it's in the goal scoring department. What I've seen a few games this year. They tend to dominate games, but they're not finding the net. So I think it's going to be a tight game up there. Hopefully they'll get the 3 points. But if you put me on the spot, I'd probably say it'd be a goalless draw.
And
that's put everybody off coming to the beanbag now.
Yeah.
Indeed. Just on the beanbag, actually, I see that got released yesterday. So do you want to quickly tell us about that? So maybe people can come along.
Yeah, they can go to the. They can obviously book through the club, and it's being shown. It's being shown in the executive lounge. I think they're great. I think they're a great idea, really, because the problem is that when you lose that atmosphere, don't you? When you go to a game, you feed off your fellow fan.
Yeah.
And particularly at somewhere like Millwall, where they create such a good atmosphere around the team, you sort of get a little bit of that back in the lounge. You get that sort of togetherness. So I always used to, on the few times, I didn't go many times, but on the few times I was normally always at matches. But on the few times I have gone, it's never a good place if you don't win. But hopefully if you do win, it sort of almost completes the day.
It does. Well, brilliant, Peter. Thank you again for all your hard work. We will, as a group, be sharing it out, and hopefully people listening here will start spreading the news and maybe get a few media outlets spreading the word a bit more as well. Thank you, Peter.
Thanks, guys. Yeah.
No
Good
problem.
to talk to you.
Cheers, Peter.
Yeah.
Take care. Good luck.
Good night. Yeah. See you.
Okay, thank you, Peter, and again, brilliant for all your hard work you do. In advance of previewing the Middlesbrough game, we will hear from Henry Morgan and his view on the opposition.
Welcome to View from the Opposition. This week we should have been speaking to a Middlesbrough fan in preparation for Millwall's trip up north on Saturday. However, we've been unable to secure one, so unfortunately you're stuck with me. Looking back at what can only be described as a tumultuous week for Millwall Football Club, I think it's important that we do just look forward, and I'm going to be solely concentrating on the football this evening. Positive points to take forward into the game for Millwall against Middlesbrough. I think the performance, we could all agree, against QPR was back to something that of a Millwall-like performance. I think very good shift put in by both Brian Woods and Marlon Romeo, despite the background noise. And for most of the game, I think Millwall probably were just about the better side, actually. And if you look at stats-wise and possession, we were on top of those for the first time, certainly in the last 9 or so games. We now, however, face 2 very difficult road games against Middlesbrough on Saturday and Bristol City. To come away from either of those, I think, with a point at each, which people won't like to hear, I think would be a very good result. Just having a quick look at our own form coming into this game, what I did think was interesting, looking back to Preston the last time we won, we've had a total of 102 shots, so we're averaging 11.3 shots per game. However, of those, only 27 are on target, so that's about 1 in 4. 1 in 4 of our shots are on target, and only 4 goals in that time period. So we're struggling a bit at the moment up front, and I think Gary Rowett today acknowledged that. Basically, sort of, he was asked about the injury situation, and he mentioned, but Connor Mahoney isn't going to be back. He's looking for some fitness. It was good to see Mason Bennett back on the pitch. I think he again, Rowett mentioned that he carried the ball particularly well. And quote, unquote from Gary, they're trying to get out there and get through it. It's maybe why performances haven't been as good as we would like. I mean, there has been a certain weariness to the team, and I think that, as I mentioned after Saturday's debacle, other things haven't really sort of helped them. Looking ahead to Saturday, then Middlesbrough. Neil Warnock actually said that he thought they were unlucky. Their previous game was a 3-0 loss to Preston North End, who of course was the last team that we beat. But in his post-match conference, Warnock did state that he thought basically the first goal in that game was going to be the goal that decided it. Preston were the team obviously that got that, and then they got 2 late goals to add on to the goal that they snatched just after the hour mark, making it 3-0. So potentially the scoreline of 3-0 might be a bit much for what actually took place during the game. Marvin Johnson was the man to look out for there, so again we might want to have a look at him going forward. A good young player. If you look at Middlesbrough's squad, it's dripping with people on quite high wages and talent. When I had a look at the wage comparison, they're spending about £17 million per year on their wage bill, whereas we are 9.4 roughly, if you believe the figures that have been released on several websites. I tried to average that out. And to give you an idea, Marcus Bettinelli, who's the goalkeeper, is on £24,000 a week. And for that, I think you could probably get Pearce, Romeo and Murray Wallace. So almost sometimes our entire sort of back three for their one player. It's a difficult place going to the Riverside. I think that before this season we'd struggled to get results there. I know obviously we won a couple of seasons ago, back in December 2017. We got a 2-1 victory. Before that, it was quite a time before. And really, Middlesbrough, before their last 2 defeats, were a team that were battling and were kind of on form. But at the moment, only 3 points separate us. We obviously are desperate for a win, but I can't see us going up there and getting one. I think on Sky Sports, when they asked for a quick prediction, I said that we were going to win 2-1. So, you know, maybe I should just stick with that and say, yeah, we're going to win 2-1 and be optimistic.
Well, thanks, Henry. Or should we call you Henry Stato Morgan? I don't think Carl, commentator on iFollow, has come up with some of those stats. So interesting to hear, especially the 1 in 4 shots on target. That was very interesting. Stan, what are your thoughts on what Henry had to say there?
Well, I found it very interesting, really. I mean, especially when Henry was talking about the wage bill. And the reason and not for a minute do I doubt what he's saying, but what I find rather strange is the fact that when these arguments go on about financial fair play and, you know, wages have got to be cut and one thing and another because the clubs can't afford it, invariably the club that gets mentioned and the guy that's leading the fight for that is Steve Gibson of Middlesbrough. And yet he's playing a goalkeeper £24,000 a week. I mean, I find it mind-blowing. But, you know, but no, I mean, what Henry says is true. It's difficult. I mean, these 2 games, they are going to be severe tests for us. And, you know, there's no doubt, in my opinion, we're going into somewhat disadvantage because of the injury list that we've got. Because we've got people that are out injured and people that can create or score goals. And that's been our problem, as we all keep saying.
Can't disagree there, Stan. Jeff, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, at the start of the season, I thought that the 3 teams coming down would have a better chance than normal of doing well, because while the rest of us are struggling with income because of the pandemic, they all still got their full payment from the Premier League. What do you call it? The
parachute.
The parachute payment. Thank you. So I'm not surprised to see them all up there. The rest of the division, it's really even. Very difficult to predict any game. I suspect we are due a win. I think we'll get a win. I'm not sure if it will be this one or the Bristol game, but I do think we'll get a win. And I think that it could well be on Saturday. So I'm going to go for 1-0 at Middlesbrough.
We'll get your predictions in a minute, Jeff, but save that thought. Bethany, do you think we need something to just kickstart our season?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I do think so. How I would play it, I think I would put Thompson in for Williams in the centre, and I'd probably set up how we finished the last game. You know, I really think this year we've only really looked like we're scoring up top when Smith is on, as I said earlier. And as I said, I still don't think we've mastered the art of getting forward yet when we've got three at the back. We need to score some goals. So I think we need to do a bit of direct football and use Smith as a target man for that.
Indeed. So let's quickly fire the predictions out. Stan, score prediction.
Well, I'll go for probably a 1-1 draw, I reckon.
Jeff?
Yeah, I can't see another draw. I really can't. So, yeah, I'm sticking with what I just said just now, 1-0.
Bethany?
I think I'm going to say the same as Jeff. I'm going to go for a 1-0.
Okie dokes. And I'm going to stick with a 2-1 win for us. Look, if it comes off Smith's left buttock, I'll be happy as long as it gets over that line. But I do agree with what Bethany said. Maybe we should start with and go a bit more direct, and maybe start with Bradshaw and John Duddy as well as Smith up front. Let's just scare these teams. We can always change it later if it doesn't work. Let's scare them.
Yeah, but you see, that's where I have a problem, mate, with this direct stuff, because you looked at QPR on Saturday the other day and Derby. There ain't many teams in that division that play direct, and the problem is they're all good at keeping the ball. So once you lose the ball, you're spending best part of 5 minutes trying to get it back. That's the problem, in my opinion. If you give them... See, I keep banging on about this, and I probably sound like a stuck record. But what I'm saying is that if you watch these teams in the Championship, right, they are very good in possession. Very few of them go long or direct, apart from corners and free kicks. And they're very good at keeping the ball. And if you keep giving them the ball, right, eventually you're going to pay the price. I remember a couple of years ago we played Bradford in the semi-final, the first leg in the playoff. I mean, we were 3-1 up at half time, okay, and you knew that Bradford were going to pile it in, and they did. And we never got the ball out of our half for half an hour. Half an hour it took us to get the ball out of our half. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, no, I agree. I'm just thinking maybe just try something different with a bit more firepower up front rather than just...
I've got no problem with the firepower. I've got no problem with the firepower up front. It's just the way we get it to them. That's the problem I have.
Oh, no, I agree. I think maybe with the likes of Bradshaw, it might stick a little bit more because they're used to having balls played into their feet. But anyway, let's move on to another prediction from our dear friend Henry Stato Morgan talking about our trip to the West Country.
After Middlesbrough, whatever that brings, we then have to roll on to Bristol City, who are currently sitting 6th. And I think we've only got one win there since 2010 with that glorious 3-0 victory on the opening day of the season. Obviously, we won there last season 2-1 in a bit of a snatch and grab, which got us going on a good run. That was at the beginning of December as well. But I think with two big games like this coming off the back of each other, I mean, hopefully we can get Mahoney back and fit, and we can, not pick up any more knocks. I think again Gary Rowett mentioned that there were 6 players having to do some sort of rehab before each game. Marlon Romeo currently having injections in his toe and not training at all. So if we can get out of the Middlesbrough battle, as I imagine it's going to be with a Neil Warnock side, get down to Bristol and again do anything against a team that have actually been flying up in 6th place, then we have to try and do something down there. So, I'm hopeful that we can pick up 3 points against Middlesbrough. I'm hopeful that we can pick up then a point at Ashton Gate, and we can start putting together a bit of a run which will buck this 9-game trend without a victory. Let's just hope that we can do that. I look forward to speaking to a couple of Forest fans the following week when we host Nottingham Forest at the Den. Until then, everyone take care of yourselves. Good luck to the Lions.
Thanks, Henry. And brilliant, those 2 pieces from you there. So, what are your thoughts on Henry's comments there about the Bristol City game coming up.
Well, I don't disagree with Henry at all on that, because Bristol, I mean, coming back to what I was just saying previously, Bristol City are one of these teams that are good at keeping the ball, and they play a certain way, and they're always going to be there or thereabouts. So, you know, you're going to have a difficult game against them. It's, you know, no question about that. And no, but I mean, but this, you know, once we start to overcome our injury problems and we start getting players back, then I think we're suddenly going to take a, you know, our fortune's going to take a turn for the better. And we're getting near Christmas, and then you've got the transfer window coming up. Hopefully some things can be sorted out there. I mean, I think we might get one or two people leave the den in January myself, and we might need to do that if we want to sort of, you know, reinforce. But no, the Bristol City game will be a difficult game. It won't be easy. Our previous record with them at their place proves that. So, no, I'll be looking forward to that game.
Bethany?
I always try to look at it one game at a time by the way we play, the way we're playing at the minute. So I really think, I don't feel like I'm going to have much of an opinion on the game until I've seen how they play on Saturday. Obviously, I'm hoping for a win, but more the same of what I said before, really. Yeah, I do try and take everything as a game-by-game situation, so I know that's a really kind of cop-out answer, but...
That's fine. And on to lovely Jeff.
Yeah, I can understand where Bethany's coming from, you know. It's very difficult to get your head around what might happen on Tuesday until we've seen what happens at Middlesbrough. I don't think that's a cop-out. I think that makes sense. I think that's a sensible way. But look, for the sake of this programme, we make a prediction, don't we? So I think we're going to win one of these games. I don't know which it is. I forecast a 1-0 win at Middlesbrough. It is tough doing 2 away games in, 3-4 days. So we'll need the squad. We might see more of Bury during that time. And as Bethany said, we might see Ben Thompson in an away game. And tough game. I agree. Tough game.
Okay, so quick fire predictions. Stan?
Predict that we'll win it 1-0.
Cool. Bethany?
Let's go 2-1.
Jeff?
I said we'll win one of these 2 games. I've given a 1-0 win at Middlesbrough. I'm going to go for another wretched draw in this one. I think we'll score. I think it'll be 1-1.
And me personally, I'm going to go 2-1 again. I'm going to go with Bethany again on this one. I think we're just going to get lucky. These 2 games might be the 2 games we need against a tricky Warnock side. And as I say, a Bristol City team that's on the up at the moment. And maybe we do need to play a team that's on the up and playing a bit more expansive football. And we might be able to take advantage of that. Don't forget you can hear Henry's views on Sunday after the game. And he may even put one in after the midweek game at Bristol City as well. And you can hear them on all the normal social media sites. We will take a break there and listen to the wonderful tones of Patricia Maslin.
Hi, Patricia Maslin here. The Millwall Community Trust needs volunteer help. Whether you're an organisation with bodies able to assist or an individual, the Trust needs you during the current conditions to support the vulnerable and needy. If you can help make a difference or need help, please contact Sean Daly, the Trust's Chief Executive Officer, by phone on 07 958 027060. Once again, that's 07 958 027060. Or contact by email sdaly, I'll spell that, SDALY, at millwallcommunity, all one word, .org.uk. I'll repeat that, sdaly, SDALY at MILLWALL all one word, .org.uk. If you can, or you know someone or any organisation who might be able to help, please let the Community Trust know. Thank you.
I'm Gary, and I'm back with the No One Likes a Talking team of Jeff Burnage, Stan Goodwin, and Bethany Warren. Thanks, Pat, for your points there about the Millwall Community Trust, which we've heard lots about tonight. People continue to lose their lives to this dreadful virus, or as a consequence of suffering with it as death and infections continue. Whilst many more remain hospitalised too, our thoughts go out to their families, friends, and those that take care of them.
There are so many fans who want to support the club, and you can help by joining the Lions Loyalty Club. It costs £40 with benefits. For £25, you or a member of your family can also be a crowdie. For £103.95, you can be a virtual mascot with benefits. And why not sponsor a player's kit for £570 with benefits? All of the details and more can be found on the Millwall website. Don't forget, I follow returns with Carl Bates on Saturday versus Middlesbrough. 100% of what you pay, less taxes for the internet streaming service, home or away, goes to Millwall Football Club. What a great way to improve their revenue in these challenging times.
Feedback of away matches commences again for the princely sum of £52.50 for an individual, and group prices are at a reduced rate.
The club's VIP hospitality beanbag package gives you the opportunity to cheer on the Lions with a 3-course hospitality dining hosted by a Millwall legend. Book on the Millwall website under the hospitality section. Watch out for updates on the Millwall website and your email for the return to stadium information for the fans. And it's good night from me.
Scott Johnson, the founder of the Proper Blokes Club, is looking for guys to come along and join him to break the stigma of men's mental health with walk and talk groups. Being in Tier 2 means that the walks are now back on again. Additionally, Scott is organising a shoebox collection for the homeless of Southwark. For further details of walking and talking and the shoebox collection, check out the Proper Blokes Club on Twitter and Facebook. Good night.
This week we welcome back Bethany, and she will be joined by Ted and Dave, and that programme will be hosted by Johnny Burrow. Don't forget, player sponsorship for the Lionesses is available this season as well. Why not share the burden between a few of you or a couple of companies? If you can, give them some added support. And you can find details therefore on their website. Just go to millwalllionesses.com and in your browser, and you will find them easily enough. We have led by example and sponsored their captain, Libby Stubbs. And with that, and wishing them good luck on Sunday, it's good night from me.
Lastly, let's not forget to keep safe on the streets out there. Follow the Tier 3 guidance, social distancing when outside, and a face mask when necessary. That's it from me. Thanks, Jeff, Stan, and Bethany. Until next time, good night.